You're watching News X at 9 with me, Rukmini Viswanath. And before we go to our top stories moving on now to our other top story this hour, it's a new twist to the Lilavati hospital case. Over the last few weeks, 4 related individuals who are on the board of Lilavati Hospital have been exposed in the media for allegedly siphoning off trust funds to fund their business ventures. Now, NewsX has uncovered the money trail that could expose them. It appears to be a story of how money looted from Lilavati was allegedly put in offshore tax havens before round-tripping it back into India.
For the first time, NewsX has accessed key documents that show how 4 trustees of Lilavati, Pavan and Chetan Mehta, along with their parents Prabodh and Rashmi, are laundering the alleged looted funds from the hospital.
The charge that they are siphoning money out of the Lilavati is further strengthened by the fact that their holdings in certain offshore companies are in far excess of their known sources of income.
The Mehtas own 2 companies. The first is a Belgium company which has made only 2.5 crores in a decade. The second is in India called Adesh International, which has average annual revenues of about 80 to 100 crores. Now, documents with NewsX show how over 100 crores was allegedly pumped from Lilavati by the trustees, then into a Singapore-based company, RP Gems Limited. On your screens there, RP Gem Limited in Singapore, that money routed from Lilavati into them, and then from them back to India through Adesh International and Kirti Communications. So who owns RPG in Singapore? A closer look, the Mehtas appear to have 100% stake in the company. The document with NewsX also shows that the money from Singapore-based RP Limited flows back into 2 Indian companies, Adesh and Kirti Equities. Now, more money from a mysterious Mauritius-based company, Kirti Communications, also comes into Kirti Equities. But that's not all. Shockingly, Kirti Equities acquires 14% of ING Investment Management, which has the exclusive contract to manage all the financial schemes of ING Vesya Bank, which amounts to a whopping 50,000 crore rupees. Ironically, the Mehtas have been allowed to manage the deposits of a mainstream bank, despite the fact that they have a checkered past. Both Chetan and Prabodh have criminal records in Belgium and Israel and have court cases pending in India.
Quite clearly, the RBI hasn't followed guidelines on ownership and governance in private sector banks as spelled out by the Ganguly Committee to ensure that the directors and the CEOs should satisfy the requirements of fit and proper criteria.
The investigation raises certain larger observations. Clearly, people are siphoning money to foreign tax havens, round-tripping it back into India. The Mauritius route being widely used, laundering is being done fairly openly without any oversight. Shockingly, even worse, money is being looted from a hospital allegedly, which is a state-aided charitable trust for the poor. This is a NewsX exclusive.
Well, let me quickly go across to both NewsX's Jahangir Pocha and Neeta Kolatkar, who join us for more on the story. Let me come to you first, Neeta. Clearly, these individuals have a long history of siphoning, but they are being investigated by the Food and Drug Administration most recently, isn't it, for a case of spurious drug contracts?
Yes, Rukmini, the FDA has raided these premises because they have realized, they got information that the Lilavati has signed bogus contracts with bogus companies and they have siphoned off money.
Right. And also the Charity Commissioner in the past also had some observations on this particular case. Neeta, there's an established history of wrongdoing. Tell us some more about that.
Yes, in 2009, the Charity Commissioner had found out through their investigations that these tainted trustees had siphoned off hundreds and crores of rupees out of Lilavati. And in fact, they had even asked Vijay Mehta, the now deceased trustee, to step down.
Right, let me go across to Jahangir Pocha, who's also with us. Jahangir, and of course, Prabodh Mehta already has been found guilty of money laundering, isn't it?
That's right, Rukmani. You know, there are many cases of an individual nature, but what we're seeing here in this family, in this sort of trust, with this group of trustees, is systematic wrongdoing over many years. Prabodh Mehta found guilty in Belgium of laundering 180 crore rupees, sentenced to 3 years probation. He didn't serve any time, and that's something that also bears more investigation, that he was found guilty of laundering 180 crores in Belgium.
Right, and Jahangir, this also brings us back to the very important question: how can individuals with rap sheets like this buy into the management of a company like ING Management, which manages about 50,000 crores of public money?
You know, this is one of the most disturbing aspects of this particular case, Rukmani. There are many tax investigations across this country. There are many Indians who have money in overseas accounts. But what we're seeing here is that a group of people with a systematic record of wrongdoing have been basically being accused of looting a public hospital, a charitable trust that's supposed to serve the poor, sending that money overseas into Singapore, perhaps into Mauritius, bringing that money back into India, and then actually buying into companies that are managing 50,000 crores in banking funds. This is money, of course, that belongs to people like you and me, public money. And, this is morally reprehensible, and if proven to be true, it is also in violation of several RBI guidelines, which, as Neeta was saying, clearly state that people with records like this should not be allowed anywhere close to managing public money.
Right, and Jahangir, as you rightly pointed out, clearly it is in violation of RBI guidelines. Isn't it a case for the RBI now to look into this matter?
This is one of the other most troubling parts of this case. This case, very troubling at many levels. The looting of a public charitable trust, round-tripping of that money through tax havens back to India, the investment of that money in, a company that manages 50,000 crores in public money, and then, of course, the fact that we're now seeing is that the government did nothing about this, so all this information was with various agencies for a very long time. Yet the RBI has not been alerted, ING has not been questioned, and this basic inaction, many people say, is because these public trustees, the some of this Mehta family, have very close links to a powerful Maharashtra-based politician who's been basically trying to sweep this entire matter under the table. And it's not succeeding, because now word of this is leaking out to the media, and despite this, the government has taken virtually no action on this case, Rukmani.
Right, Jahangir, we'll leave it there for now, but it will be interesting to see how the law and order authorities and especially the banking regulator react to these revelations. Thank you very much for joining us, Neeta and Jahangir, on that story. It's time for us to hit a short commercial break. Stay tuned for all the top stories and headlines with Shruti up next.